smaller and smaller until they get to you.
A police officer knocked my door once. He says somewhere in the building we detected this stolen iPad. I already have one at home anyways, but it was somewhere in the building.
Oh, okay. You know, what you're talking about here, it's, okay, it's some kind of communications that happening. Okay, iPad, they go by a CPU, VIN, like an ID number or motherboard ID number
Could be a MAC
or
address.
MAC address that is connected. They trace it.
So it's
Okay.
a permanent address coming from the
Yes,
If it's
exactly.
an LTE machine,
Exactly.
then you have an IMEI number, which then gets registered in the phone, in the server somewhere by a base station. That IMEI is stolen, it's on the blacklist. So if it shows up anywhere on the network,
They
the
will
base
see.
station will say, okay, within this radius,
This
is
is
what
what-
that device is. So then they come knock on your door.
He made it simple. Now, a quick question, Ahmed, if you don't mind. When you were talking about broadcasting, which devices? I mean, the BC does broadcasting too. I thought DHCB will do the broadcasting.
Well, okay, the BC, okay, we'll communicate with the DHCP server. We'll send, okay, because you know the BC when it boots up, it has no information. Okay, the BC itself doesn't know about anything, so it broadcasts, okay, to the DHCP server. The DHCP server will see that PC. As I said, there is a communication between the DHCP server and the PC. It's called like DHCP offer, like DHCP discovery process, and then DHCP offer. And then if both accepted the offer, then the communication is happening. Then okay, the DHCP exactly like a hat exactly. Then okay, here's your IP address. This is I'm gonna lease it for you, like for you with like 8 days usually. They lease it for 8 days, and then it will renew that lease. Okay, so it's full of addresses. It's been like leasing to many devices in the network. As I said, if a network like a machine is down or whatever, that IP address is assigned to that machine, get leased to different machine on the network. So this is how it works. هلا اوكي هلا حكينا انه communication is happening through the NIC card in your machine. Without that NIC card, you won't be able to get even get an IP address or to be able to check the settings on your machine. So the NIC card is the physical hardware, the hardware on your machine that lets you communicate and connect to the network.
What network identification card?
It's
something like
no,
that?
it's
I keep forgetting. What is it?
it's network interface card.
Interface
That's what
card.
it stands for, network interface card. So it's the interface card.
How big?
Okay,
How
now-
small? It used to be big. Is it any small now or still?
Yeah, of course.
big?
هلا عندك في اللابتوبs يعني very small. عندك في بعض small devices is even smaller. يعني they يعني go but went through many modifications until it becomes so small.
Yeah.
طيب هذا الايثرنت الايثرنت card, it has an IP address. You can assign an IP address, and it has a physical address, which is called the MAC address. And the MAC address works side by side with the IP address to complete the communication. Okay, so we get an IP address from the DHCP server and through the MAC address. Okay, now for example, this PC, how it's going to communicate with this PC? If this PC doesn't have, okay, for example, this machine got an IP address and got a physical address, which is the MAC address. Okay, it needs to communicate with this machine. So how's the communications happening?
It needs the address. It needs an address for that PC.
Okay, it needs an address, an IP address for that machine. So what happens? The machine sent like something called ARP request. ARP request, which is it's a binding. Okay, it's like IP address to MAC address map. Okay, so each machine has, for example, an IP address here, 10.1.1.1, for example, and then it has the physical address here. Physical address is 48 bits, It's like hexadecimal letters and numbers, okay? And okay, so it has a binding here. It has, like, for example, this IP address and this MAC address here, and then another address here, 2.1.3, and then another MAC address. So each machine, the first communication, it will look into the ARP table. If it exists there, okay, here's the IP address, and I see the MAC address for that machine. Okay, I see it in my table. Okay, then I can send and communicate directly with that machine. Now, if that MAC address does not exist in the ARP table, then the machine will do like ARP request. It will broadcast. Hey, I have the IP address for this machine, but I don't have the MAC address to be able to reach that machine. Can someone send that MAC address to me? Okay, so the MAC address will be sent, okay, if it's local. If it's not local to the subnet, then the MAC address of the gateway will be sent to that machine to be able for that machine to go out to a different subnet. And the network هلا بنحكي عن شيء another thing هلا اللي هو subnetting. يعني network, many PCs are connected together. Mesh technologies, a lot of topologies, complex devices are connected everywhere. These devices are grouped into subnets, local subnets, and other subnets in the network. We have, for example, for like the same company, it has many subnets. Okay, these subnets has to communicate with each other. Okay, and then we have something called routers, which is a device that routes traffic from the local subnets out to a different subnet, could be for the same company or for the same organization. Okay, and that particular router as well routes traffic to something called ISPs or like providers. Okay, how does that router route that traffic? So it route that traffic through something called routing protocol. Route traffic to our service provider. Our service provider, for example, AT&T, Verizon. Okay, they have a huge network, a huge complex network that get your packets. Okay, and then route the traffic through their network, and then get it to its destination. All the communication is happening through the IP address. The source IP address is still the same. The destination IP address, if you are communicating locally, it's going to be the same. But if you are communicating, for example, to the public, we have something else, or other devices now we're going to talk about now. It's called like NAT devices. Okay, NAT devices, it's a device that translates private IP addresses to public IP addresses and vice versa. Okay. Now, let's go back and talk about the classification of the IP addresses. هلا في عندنا اللي هو private IP addresses that usually they classify these IP addresses to be used locally for a local organization, group buildings, small companies, whatever. You can use any block of IP addresses like private IP addresses. Private IP addresses, they classify them as three classes: Class A, Class B, and Class C. Class A, for example, it starts with 10.0.0.0. If you see something like that, this is a Class A IP address. Now, Class B, if you see something like 172.16.2, another range, okay, that's a Class B.
127
I'm sorry, 172.
starts with what? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
172. 127, that's a loopback address.
لا قصدي بعد ال 127 مش ببلش ب 128 كلاس بي starts with 128 to 170 ولا no?
Yeah,
I don't know.
172, no, 172.16. وبعدين هون any other address.
yeah.
Any, you can add any other
Yeah.
two addresses.
Yeah, I'm
Up
talking
to
about the
another
first
range.
two.
بالضبط.
Okay.
هلا class C start with 192, 168, and any two, other two outlets here. Okay. So if you see 10 dot whatever, then you know this is a class A IP address. It's a private IP address, meaning IP address private, meaning you can use it inside locally, inside your company, inside your organization. In another word, this IP address, it's not routable. You can't route it. You can't communicate with this IP address to the public. Exactly. Beyond the router, the device that we just talked about. You can't route unless you have something, as I said, called like NAT device to be able to route traffic from from your organization to the public. Okay. The same thing with 172.16, 192.168. All of these are private IP addresses that used locally in your network. Okay. Rather than that, anything else, then this is gonna be like a public IP address. احنا فينا طبعا اللي هو other addresses reserved for like for multicasting and loopback 127.00.1. This is for testing purposes, but we're not gonna talk about this for now. I need you just to know فينا private IP addresses start with 10.0.0 and 172.16 and 192.168. These are I'm gonna send you like a sheet of the classifications, so you guys will take a look at it as well. So these are private IP addresses. These are non-routable IP addresses. So you can route these IP addresses. You can use them inside you. For example, if you have your own house, you want to build your own network, you can do that with using these IP addresses here. 10 or 192 or 172.16, whatever. Now, we have a concept of subnetting and how to subnet the network and how to get many addresses. What's your organization needs of IP addresses? How many IP addresses I want to assign for a specific number of laptops and desktops in my organization? All of that, it depends on how big is your organization. If you have a bigger, like let's say 65,000 user and more, whatever, you consider like 10 addresses. Class A addresses. Why? Because if you do calculation, if you do like 2 to the power, here, if you do 2 to the power 24, if you calculate this, it will get you like over 65,000 nodes. So you can assign over 65,000 node IP address for 65,000 machine. Okay, if you need like a small IP, like for example, let's say less than 250 devices and network, you use, for example, 192.168 IP address.
Quick question. So if, let's say there's a company with 60, 50,000, but obviously they're in different locations, right? Let's say one in Chicago, one in Florida. Can you still use the Class A for their internal addresses, or you have to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. هلا احنا we're still talking about local area network. هلا بدي ارجع بس احكي للشباب انه في عندنا كمان networking, it's a lot of concepts. انا بجوز I'm talking from different here there I have to go and many classes to go with you like step by step on the networking, okay? But let me tell you something about the LAN and WAN. Now في عندنا شيء اسمه LAN, local area network, وفي عندنا شيء اسمه WAN, wide area network. LAN, it's a small communication, like we have like 10, 15, 20 devices in a small building. They're communicating through servers, with the servers communicating through a switch. Okay, that's a local area network. Okay, we can build that network, switch, and like couple like whatever, like let's say 10, 15, 20 PCs, they can communicate through that switch. Okay, that's called like local area network. Now WAN زي ما حكى أخونا زكي الوان هلا انت you go beyond like the geographical area, your geographical area. You go from let's say small building or group buildings to maybe different cities or maybe different states, okay, to communicate with your organization. For example, like an organization like Allstate, State Farm, whatever, and they have many branches. Okay, they have assigned their IP addresses, private IP addresses, okay, to a branch here in Chicago, and then in like let's say New York, in Indiana, whatever. Okay, it's still called WAN. It's called still WAN, wide area network. Okay, it's not a LAN. Now LAN, it's yani, limited to a building or group of buildings in one geographical area. Now when you go beyond like that geographical area, go like for example like different states or maybe different, even different, let's say countries. Yeah, if you go like different outside of the United States, it's called WAN too because it's going through the MPLS network, which is, as I said, through the provider. Yani the provider will guarantee the delivery of your packet for your organization from one local area network to another, okay, in a different geographical area. عرفت علي كيف؟ يعني in another word,
Yeah.
here. يعني احنا
Yeah, see what happens is on your routing table when it's like
Right.
10.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's saying, okay, look, everything is routable in my table. So it's in that address, and so there's so many thousands of addresses in this. So as long as it knows it's a 10, then it tries to find the routing. So let's say if it's in New York, for instance, you can't find it locally, it's going to say, look, this subnet is in New York. So your router will go, you know what, we need to go off on this particular maybe VPN, you know, because it's in New York. So it gets routed to New York. New York gets routed to San Francisco, and vice versa. But it still looks like one network.
Yeah.
If it leaves the network, then it's going to go, this is a public address, public IP address. It's not in my network. I have to leave. It's not there.
Yeah, بالضبط.
So would it check when they want to do that check-in? Would it go to the routing table and check it right away?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
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 So that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Your router.
It will go.
Yeah. Your router goes. Hey,
To the
look, this
routing
is
table.
mine. This belongs to me.
Yeah.
Belongs to me. I'm gonna look for it. I look for it here, or you know what? This subnet is really not in Chicago. It's in New York, or it's in San Francisco.
It goes to the other
Yeah. So because
routers
of
in the
way
routing
they
table.
subnet it,
Right.
then it says this is how it knows. But if
Yeah.
it's not in my subnet or it's not in this block, then I have to go find this somewhere else. Now I start leaving the network.
Yeah. اوكي يا شباب انتوا الله يرضى عليكم بنركز مع احمد اذا في اسئله.
اذا في شيء مش
This is
فاهم.
your class فاهمين علي؟ بكره مع ميل اللي بيساله بقطع راسه بس مع احمد have fun. انا enjoy it.
يعني لوك يعني هلا هون عندنا شيكاغو
فبدنا نسال
وعندنا
يا
نيويورك.
شباب هون فاهمين
عندنا
علي؟
هلا شيكاغو
في
وعندنا
سؤال
نيويورك.
بالله أبو حميد.
With buildings, go ahead.
You said for classes A, B, and C, and you said 10 would be the biggest for the biggest amount of computers. What would happen if you had let's say 20 computers on
Can I correct that for you, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
A, B, and C really refers to 256. You know, it's an octet, so you're basically looking, okay. C says, okay, look, I can do 256. The other one's 256 times 256. The other one's 256 times 256. So A, B, and
Two
C.
to the power.
Yeah, so that you're looking at, what you're looking at is A is the largest amount of addresses that you can get.
Okay.
B is the next one, C. So usually a C,
يعني for
I'm in a building. Yeah,
for
I'm in
a
a small
building,
building,
يعني
yeah.
small building you can
I'll
يعني
give you a
so
C.
لأنه it gives you about like up to 254 IP addresses that you can assign.
Yeah, I know.
You
So
know.
my question was though, if you had about let's say 60,000 nodes open, but you only had about 20
Computer,
nodes
yeah.
in use, would that affect the performance at all? If you had more nodes than needed?
More.
Yeah,
More
so,
IP addresses.
yeah.
Okay.
But remember, so
It wouldn't.
you're routing on IP addresses. Only IP addresses that have MAC addresses are live. Okay, that's it. So that's when you bind those MAC addresses to the IP addresses. That's the only thing that's routable. Those others are not in
Whatever's
use.
live, yeah.
So they are like off.
Oh,
You're not
If they
using
are
them.
off, you don't worry about anything is gone.
Plus another
It's not
question.
gonna
Get يعني انتوا خلوها بحياتكم اربطوها بحياتك. At your personal level at home. Did you ever guys find out what is your IP address?
I've never seen class A or B.
Yeah, class A
be.
most likely
Yeah, now you know. إنه
owns
في
by
classification
AT&T يا شباب.
في النتورك في الاي بي ادرس سكيم
You
We
have a
have
Comcast?
class A, class
You have
B, class
Comcast
C.
at
Yeah,
home?
mine's 192.168.
Exactly.
0.1
So
or
that's,
something.
yeah.
That's
So
what
how
they
did you get
usually
that?
give, yeah.
How did you get that?
I was in the back. I've been messing with routers for a while, so I know how to access them. And
So you got your Comcast router, right?
Yeah.
Did they give you a public IP address?
Yes.
Okay, so you know your public IP address.
It's written at home.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
So, then they gave you a router?
Yes.
Okay. You plugged in the router, right? Usually it's the default,
Right.
whatever the 192, right? But if you go and change it, you can actually change it whatever you want.
I know.
You can actually even make a public IP address if you like. You might mess it up, but you could actually do that. If you know how to block it, you can keep it inside. So really, if you know how to block and you know how to route, you can actually choose any address you like. But most people, you know,
They go with
Stick
default.
with default.
They
With
go
the
with the
default.
default.
Yeah. Can you buy an IP
I'm
address?
sorry.
Can you buy an
Yeah,
IP
you buy
address?
a website which
Yeah, the statics. He was talking about the statics IP address and the dynamic dynamic IP address.
Oh, what's the difference between them? What's the difference between the dynamic and the static IP address?
static is used for printers and stuff that needs to be.
No.
No.
Dynamic
It's some-
changes.
but where you get your IP address from if it's dynamically assigned?
From the DCH.
The
DHCP.
definition, what is the definition of static?
Uh-huh.
It stays with the machine.
Yes.
It doesn't
Right.
change, that's it. It's like.
DHCP,
This is the one you
Keep
go
changing.
run to Abu Bakr and say, Abu Bakr, give me an address.
That's
static. Why? Because Abu Bakr has the list of all the addresses.
Right.
And he says, you know what, I think you're worthy, I'll give you one. He doesn't, he goes, you know what, I'll let you share a dynamic. Yeah, that's the way they are. I mean,
Yeah, that's what it is. GSI عندنا بالشركة حسام. How many IP addresses do we have as a statics?
احنا in our network, our old network, we used to actually have a B class. So, all public IP addresses. But I lost it.
We lost
Yeah,
it.
we applied for it for the FCC and we got it approved.
Oh, look.
Yeah. So, but now we only use a few. We don't use a lot because we went from actually, having to assign IP address and that to being a cloud infrastructure. When we went to cloud infrastructure, well, we don't need it now. So,
You see, the same concept apply to many organizations. They
هسه هم هيك-
reserved a lot of block of addresses,
Yes.
IP addresses, public IP addresses they don't use.
Yes.
So that's the problem that we're having with IP version 4. NAS, they're talking, oh, you know what, we gotta run out of IP version 4.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not about shortage. We have over 4 billion of IP addresses. If you go 2 to the power 32, we have over it can covers a lot of IP addresses. I mean, we're not gonna run out of IP version 4.
Yeah.
They calculated, they say they can go with up to until 2050
I think,
with IP version 4 without any problem.
I think one of the
Best-
biggest drivers for IPv6 is actually because ultimately everything's machine to machine. So,
That's
so you're gonna need so many addresses that actually eventually you will run out of IP4.
Okay, بس
no,
والله
the point is here one of the what you just said is correct. بس في the main reason the public IP addresses is like poorly allocated to the
It's
network.
probably a
That's-
combination, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I go and I ask for class B IP addresses from my provider, I don't use them. Or maybe I just need class A or class C. It's poorly allocated.
Yeah.
So it's like waste of IP addresses
Yeah.
out there.
شباب بس سامحونا شباب عندكم امتحانات شيء بدكم تروحوا بدري ولا يو اوكي؟ يو اوكي؟ اوكي هسه لما حسام
بكره Saturday.
بس عشان تو ميك شور ما عندهمش امتحانات شيء
عندك
ان شاء الله اتس اوكي ان شاء الله اي ساعه القطار؟
Last train is 10:07.
اوكي now another thing لما الشباب بيحكوا على different level الله يرضى عليهم ويجزيهم الخير طايرين الشباب بس احنا احنا هسه this is the time لما تسمع اي كلمه من اي حد مش فاهمها مش عارفها ما تخجل يا شباب هسه حسام حكى FCC what is FCC وقفوه احكوا له what is FCC بكره زميل بقول FCC وتصير تقول له what the hell is FCC guess what احنا بنطلعك مش ميل بده يطلعنا كلنا.
So I have to correct myself. There is something called the
IANA.
NIC, which is
IANA, they call it.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
They actually manage.
What is it again?
It's It's the
International.
International.
هاي زي ال FCC يا أبو
What was the
أحمد.
acronym? What was the acronym?
IANA. It's IANA. Yeah, it's يعني هي like an organization that manage all the public IP addresses and allocate IP addresses.
زي ال
based on
FCC
their
عندنا
organization
هون
needs.
بالجي اس ام.
Yeah, IA.
ابو احمد بنبعث لك اياها ان شاء الله.
I'll send it to you.
راح احمد يبعث لنا شويه بروشورز وشغلات بالايميل كلها شايفين ذكي، شايفين كيف ذكي، لانه الله يجزيه خير ويحفظه معلمنا وحبيبنا. بده الكلمه بده هيك بدنا نكون، اذا بدنا نكون جود انجينير بدك تكون عارف بالضبط شو هي. الله يرضى عليكم.
So
لا الله
for
يرضى
class
عليكم.
A and class B, they have to be approved by the
Yeah,
FCC?
yeah. So you have to go to your Comcast, for instance, right? You say, look, I need 256 public IP addresses, you know, for C class. So you have to actually apply for it. Then they're going to ask you, what are you going to use it for? Then you have to actually go ahead, and they sometimes even give you a form, and you have to justify why you're going to use it. Then you'll have systems engineers like Abu Bakr will say, you know, yeah, I don't think you're implementing this correctly. You could actually use private IP addresses, you know. So they do a lot of, they try to dissuade you from trying to take a full C class if they think you don't need it, you know.
لانهم they're running out of it.
Because
I one
they're
thing.
precious.
Another thing ابو ريان السعر البرايس. How much would it cost to purchase an static IP?
$10.
Well, Comcast, I think they sell them for $10. They have sometimes they can sell you $5.
بس عشان بعرفش اذا عمركم اشتريتوا did you guys ever. فهي الاسئله بلشوا يا
Why
شباب.
would you want a public IP address? I mean, that's really, why do you, I mean, I think one of the questions is why you have private and what's the difference between a private and a public?
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah, so, let's say, okay.
Versus public.
Yeah, so
Okay.
public.
One more
So
question.
public, I can reach you from anywhere in the
One
world.
more question حسام.
So now, let's say I have Comcast at my house. What is that class C? What assigned?
No, until you probably, at your house, what Comcast did is they gave you private. Why would I give you a public? I would give you a private unless you ask for a public.
Which is what Ahmed just wrote down 192 dash. That's
بالضبط انت
will be
in
your
your home network. It's your home network. It's still under the concept of LAN. Your يعني home network. هلا لما when you go out through their router, there is a different kind of communication. They go through a public IP address. So يعني so you will be able to communicate outside of your network.
yeah.
So you have to have a public IP address to be able to communicate.
Now,
هلا
inside the house يا شباب مش انت عندك نتورك واحدة بيجيك. طب عندك انت 3 different computers. How do you hook them up? Wi-Fi, Ethernet وهالشغلة. بس انت are you using the same IP address؟ ما هو بيحكي لك unique. كيف؟
It's through the MAC.
Through
The MAC.
شو يا ابو حميد؟ What do we
The
do?
MAC number, or whatever it's called.
Inside the
هلا
house.
هلا انت شوف انا البلاك هذول الاي بي addresses that I just wrote here A, class B, class C. You are free to use them anywhere in your private network. What it does not يعني conflict. ما في any conflict between if you use the same class A مثلا the same IP address. You could have for in your organization مثلا 10.1.2.3 for example. Other computers in different LAN networks they have the same address. So that's normal. But هلا ليش normal؟ لأنه في in your edge network we have a NATing device that convert or translate your IP address to your public IP address. Okay? And vice versa. So when someone needs to communicate with your machine, there's like a NATing table that match your private IP address to your public IP address. To be بالضبط to be able to communicate outside.
على success base.
Yeah. هلا هذا النات اللي هو بسموه اللي هو الناتنج يعني natting devices here it builds like a NAT table. You know, it match your IP address, private IP address to your public IP address. So this is how you communicate outside your network, and others communicate to you.
Yeah, so you all can
through
talk
that.
to each other privately, and then
Yes.
you all know about each other. If you want to talk to the outside, let's say Abu Bakr has the public one, you're all gonna have to go through him, and he talks to the outside.
But as far as the home, router, does it have like a public or private?
Well, that's what we were talking about. So, I mean, Comcast, if you request a public, Comcast will give you a
We'll
public.
give you one.
Yes. But let's say you use your public, let's say you want to use a web, you want to do a web page or, let's say maybe you want VoIP, and you want to, you have a VoIP system, for instance, your Shedika will send you home with a phone, and the only way they can get to you is you need a public IP address, so they assign your phone a public IP address. It has
Do you
to be
pay?
routed.
Do you pay for that?
Yeah, you have
Yes,
to,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
you
pay.
have to pay.
Is-
Well, provide
Just
that.
like a statics, $10 or?
But that's a static, yeah. They have
It
is a
that's
static. That's the
Okay.
static.
Oh,
Yeah.
fixed IP. So.
Yeah.
A fixed IP, static. Yeah.
So-
هلا
So basically, so I just let me just paraphrase, make sure I understand. In reality, although you are sitting at home and you have your PC, you are still part of the Comcast network. That's why
بالضبط.
you're within the pipe. You
بالضبط.
don't need, if you need to go somewhere else, it's actually going
They
through
will
Comcast.
exactly. You will go through their devices to get you outside. You don't have to worry about. But inside your network, now you can have like a small switch, and you can do any kind of IP address as you want.
Yeah.
You're inside.
وشو هدول الكومكاست what else is there يا شباب other than Comcast؟
AT&T.
اوكي.
Comcast, AT&T.
شو كمان؟
Yeah.
كلير وهدول بسموهم generally speaking ISP.
ISPs.
ايوه Internet Service Provider.
So there's also NSPs.
What the hell is that؟
So these NSPs, I mean, you've
Yeah.
heard of NSPs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the old days, there were really
NSP.
one or two ISPs. They were the major network service providers, let's say.
Oh.
AT&T